Ready.
We've had a couple original things happen in the last couple of years. So from the Unborn to the Purge, what you were going to say something funny. I felt it.
No jokes yet.
Okay.
Purge and Ouija. I was going to add Ouija to that because that
Yeah.
was original.
Right. So it's always a challenge to take something that doesn't have a lot of people knowing about it going into it. But Paramount does a fantastic job marketing, and we knew that this concept was one that that was really fun. And so you just kind of hope that there's a different way in than just something that people already know about.
Yeah, your awareness always starts low when you have an original movie. I mean, when Ninja Turtles went out there, for 30 years, that brand has been around, so the awareness is so much higher. So, with a movie like Project Almanac, you have to get out there and you have to hit the ground everywhere and try to build that awareness up and, educate people about the movie, which is definitely harder than intellectual property. But fun to do.
Ooh, you hear that?
Sorry, I'm going to keep my distance.
Thank you all for coming. For Johnny, now that you're the leading man in this film and you were opposite Liam Neeson's particular set of skills in Taken 3,
Yeah.
I think the next step is like maybe the new Spider-Man or Lee is Iron Fist and Marvel. I should maybe casting Branson.
I think if it's good material, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I'm all for reading, But I don't have really any expectations, as far as that goes. I just kind of wait till something comes in, and it's about good material and about who I'm working with. Period. But yeah, I'll do the next Spider-Man for sure.
What do you think it is about found footage films that brings audiences to the theaters? What do you think that they love about it so much? What element does it offer?
Who's taking that?
No, Dean.
Dean, I think that's you.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that the framework of found footage allows for you to buy into a concept that may otherwise feel like a movie concept, and allows you to ground it in such a way that you feel like you could be a part of those characters' journey. And for us, the goal was always that we wanted the audience to be sitting in the theater thinking if they found those schematics and if they were as smart as our kids, then maybe, just maybe, they'd be able to go on this adventure and forget about the movie conceit that's at the center of it. I also think, though, it depends on how the found footage is done. I mean, for all the advantages that there are, found footage can get a bad reputation in terms of how it's executed.
And they're hard to execute well. I mean, we learned as we were doing on this movie that it's a different type of filmmaking. It's different than anything else, at least for me, that I've ever done. And so there is a steep learning curve on it. It's almost a different form in that there's no conventional coverage, so the actors have to be willing to kind of go with it, and the camera's usually not in the same place every scene, and so it's different.
But if you have trust for the director, I mean, that's what it's all about.
This is for Johnny, but I think Dee needs to chime in on it. What got me was the part where you had a dilemma to either destroy this thing or keep going, and it was love that forced you to make maybe an irrational decision to make it happen or go back and try to correct.
Right.
So when you read the script, did you get the concept that sacrificing for love would be kind of an issue for you, and then Dean, you can chime in.
Like if it would be okay because it's for love. I think with David Raskin, it started as it's for love, and then it became kind of a compulsion for him, and he became addicted to time travel in a way, and that's what spiraled out of control. It was a selfish thing. And as he kept trying to go back, then it traded, so he wants to fix it, and he tries to go back and back, and it keeps getting worse. And at the end, he had to make an ultimate radical decision. But I think that it was for love. It started that way, and it became like a kind of self-compulsion.
Yeah, and for me, it was always a love story at the center of the movie, and it was important to tell that, and it was hard to tell that. And it took a lot of crafting in the script stage, in rehearsal, when we were shooting it, and of course in editorial to keep that love story alive. I remember when in editorial we spent a few days and we said, okay, this is the love pass that we're doing on the movie, because not only is it part of the plot in terms of it becomes the A plot at some point and the B plot, and you need the romance in the film, it's the way in which you are able to articulate Johnny's coming of age. You as an audience member can track how he's coming into himself based on how close he is to getting the girl.
Going back to the camera work, did any of you actually physically handle the camera?
They're really expensive.
From time to time, yeah.
So no,
Occasionally.
I didn't.
I think it all ended when I wiped out on a hardwood floor with one of them, so that was basically the last of it.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm most proud of in terms of the film is a lot of people will watch it and say that, oh man, did you just give the camera to the actors? And not to take anything away from their skills, very rarely did we do that. It
Even
rarely
more so,
is.
we had to work with these funky kind of setups where
Right. It's
somebody's
rarely
got the
the-
camera under your arm and sprinting full speed with you.
Right, it's rarely our camera operator, Dana Morris, and our
Dana Morris.
cinematographer, Matt Lloyd, working together and it feeling seamless. And a lot of the times we're handing the camera off from one operator to another or bringing it from a jib back into handheld. So they were great in terms of working seamlessly with them, but it was all very orchestrated. Every shot in the movie was shot listed or storyboarded.
I'm wondering if Dean or the cast can maybe talk a little bit about the Lollapalooza sequence in the film. Did any of the extras get a little too rambunctious or get too into it? Want to be part of the movie more?
There was one.
Yeah, there was actually sort of towards the beginning, we're walking in, we're trying to shoot the big entrance scene, and just some guy just comes up, whacked out of his mind, just jumps in front of the camera, like not even in a cool way, like I want to be in your movie. He was just, and I pulled like full security. I basically grabbed him by his shirt and like yanked him, and then I guess Dean was like, "Don't do that." I was getting a little ahead of myself, but I mean, I think that a lot of the people were actually like really cool and wanting to get involved with it in like a way that would fit in the movie, and they knew it. They were being respectful and.
Well, we got to jump around stages, and there'd be people that would be like, "Who are these guys? How come they keep getting them like in front of everybody?" And I'm like,
The funniest was the people that like thought it was a reality show or something. They're like
So-
Lollapalooza 2013, like all those dudes that are like, they were just like hilarious, and we would just be like, yeah, cool, for sure. And then I ran into someone who I knew, and he was like, Sam, and I was like, no, I'm playing a character. Yeah, so that was kind of weird.
It was an amazing experience because you couldn't do that on a bigger movie. You couldn't do that on a bigger movie because of the footprint that you're going to take into that place. And also because, and we didn't realize it at the time, but the found footage allows you to go into a place like this where nobody knows what you're doing. Nobody knew we were shooting a movie. They thought we were doing a reality show or something silly. So you can get away with all of these guys yelling into the camera or looking into the camera. And it doesn't hurt any of the takes. And we really just were running around for 2 days like mad people. And
But we also were guests there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had to be very Lollapalooza's.
We also weren't the coolest thing that was happening at
Absolutely.
Lollapalooza,
That's
you
also
know?
true.
Yeah.
That's
So
also
you
true.
see a camera and you see a group of kids and you're like, okay, but Mumford and Sons is over there, so see ya. We weren't the main attraction.
But the production did an amazing job because I remember at the end of the first day, we were just running around. And by the end of the first day, I got told that 4 PAs were not going to come the next day because they were so exhausted. Because we would shoot something and I would yell to these guys, go over there and let's shoot this scene and do it again or change this. And then we would move on. And everybody that was in frame, I guess it was an army of PAs behind us that had to go and get the releases from all of these people. So they did a great job, too.
Way to go, PAs.
I was curious, there's so many films and literature and TV shows about time travel, and I was curious how you went about trying to make Project Almanac unique from the rest of them, if you did any specific research.
I guess for me, what I thought we could do differently is not thinking about what the time travel itself looks like, but rather thinking about what the effects of the time travel look like. I knew that we weren't going to be able to come up with some kind of wormhole or vortex or lighting gag that was going to be any different than what we've seen before a million times. And I knew that we didn't have the money to R&D it in CGI either, even if we were going to come up with something brilliant. So for me, once we came up with the idea, and it was very early on, once we came up with the idea that it was going to be about how it affected our physical world, that opened us up into a new, interesting sphere. And we really came at it from the perspective of how do we make this really hard? How do we make a movie about time travel where the characters don't know how to time travel, and we don't have a genius mentor telling us, you know, this is the switch that you turn here, and we didn't have a ready-built DeLorean, and that was an interesting angle into it. What are the mistakes that they're gonna make?
One thing that was awesome about the film, well, the whole film was fun and awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
One thing that was kind of scary that I wanted to ask you guys about is the feedback when you see yourself in the past or so. Who came out with that idea? I've never seen that before. Or how did it come about?
Who should I give credit to? I don't know, probably one of the writers. Andrew Deutschman and Jason Pagan came up with the idea, I'm sure.
Right. It was a combo of the writers and Dean.
Right, and you were in post with it.
You made it, yeah.
No, we had that from the beginning.
So the
We shot
concept
it
was
like
in the
that.
script.
Yeah.
Dean brought it to life.
But as we were shooting it, we were like thinking, oh my God, we have to do like this theater thing where we have one take to get the entire scene right all the way through. And like, there are a couple scenes that stay in there all the way through with no cut, but that kind of, I believe you guys called it bzzz, that kind of like allowed for a kind of more
we were talking
creative
about jump
approach to
cuts.
it. Yeah.
But maybe I misunderstood the question. Yeah, the actual visual effects of it all was.
It's scary to seeing yourself and just repeat.
Yeah, the concept was always written into the script that you were going to disappear. It took us a long time in editorial to figure out just how to execute it and make it feel scary and weird.
For Sophia, in Jesse's moment with David after the concert, where she's very cold to him and sort of rejects him, in that moment, is she just done with him, or is she maybe?
No, I don't think she's done.
And Johnny's just so oblivious
Yeah.
to her affections, he just doesn't get it.
I don't think she's done with him. I think her feelings are just hurt, like anyone is when they feel rejected. And I think that it's always, especially at that age, one side always thinks the other person isn't into them, and in most cases, everyone's into each other. And I don't think she's done with him. I think she's just upset and wants him to say the right thing to make it better. And he does eventually.
Yeah, step up to the plate, you know.
After ruining time.
That's what guys do, you know.
You all did a wonderful job portraying someone either I knew or wish I knew growing up. I would like to ask Virginia and Sam, did you guys have as much fun portraying your characters as I have watching, and would you have done the same thing?
Yes, I mean, I think that we became best friends in real life, and that really shows in the movie. We all have great chemistry, and we were all kind of playing sort of a version of ourselves at times, too, and I think our chemistry really shows. And like Christina, my character, was getting bullied at school, which is something that I could have related to in high school. So I really related to Christina, and we're all just best friends in real life, and it shows.
Yeah, it was really fun. I think Andrew and Jason wrote such a funny
did,
character that I was lucky enough to play. But then on set, Dean would let us improvise a lot, which was really fun, and I think kind of adds to found footage because it makes it more real and conversational. But I had so much fun playing Quinn. It was a dream come true for sure.
I guess for Dean and Andrew and Brad, when you do time travel, there's always a set of rules that you have to kind of come up with. Did you guys have to come up with a list of that? And how much did you guys want to know as actors going in what the rules were, or did you want to know so you could approach it fresh?
Yeah, I mean, it is very complicated, and there were a lot of times where we were all sitting around the writers' table, and we would get very excited about a storyline, and we would take 3 hours to break the whole thing out, and one of us would say, wait, guys, that doesn't make sense because X, and it would unravel everything. And our mantra in the writers' room became that we wanted to make everything as airtight as possible, but that the story and the emotion were always going to trump everything else. So if it works for the story and we felt like we could get away with it to the degree that maybe it doesn't make sense, but people would only realize it a few hours later when they're dissecting the movie, then that was going to be okay because the emotion needed to come first.
I don't personally, I didn't think about any rules of time travel because I don't think she had any idea of what was going on. Especially out of the group, I think I knew the least because I wasn't there in the building of it, which is why I think she's the one that's crazy enough to say, let's try it on ourselves. So yeah, I didn't, and luckily we had a bunch of smarter people behind the camera to tell us if something would or wouldn't make sense and where we were in the timeline of our own characters. You know, sometimes when you're going back somewhere that you've already been, you can get a little confused, but
Yeah, the writers were present constantly for the whole thing.
really
Yeah.
For Alan, there are scenes in the movie where you're sort of playing the Basil exposition character, but you do it with such verve and charisma that I really
Thank you.
enjoyed it. So when you had to do the chalkboard scene, were you cognizant at all that, this is kind of like my Doc Brown moment?
It hit me because Back to the Future was playing just recently on TV somewhere, and then we saw I saw our trailer in it after, but it was it was so awesome. But it was like kind of paying homage, and that chalkboard scene. I mean, luckily Dean walked me through it very well because there was a lot of stuff. We did that twice, I think.
Yeah.
There was 2 versions of that. One was at the school bleachers, I believe, and then we brought it to the chalkboard scene
Yeah, you
in the
rolled with
basement.
the punches on that.
Oh man, that was a fun day, memorizing stuff to say. But
it's probably helpful that Alan's very smart in real life too.
Yeah,
So.
really.
oh, thank you. No, I'm just a good actor. But no, and luckily I had the writers and Dean present, and they walked me through it. And these guys,
Yeah.
Sam and Johnny, gave me so much in that basement, so it was pretty easy. Gave me a pretty easy job. So.
How much was body doubles and how much was you really getting thrown around?
Did we have
We
body
didn't have any
doubles?
body doubles.
It was basically
We can
all
afford
us,
body doubles.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, there was
No,
a
it
lot
was-
of sprinting in that movie
Yeah.
for me.
Like the dog.
Yeah, Johnny is doing, especially Johnny, it becomes a very physical role towards the third act. And as our first AD, who's extremely experienced, said he'd never met an actor that had such physical ability that Johnny does, which is a skill for an actor to be able to work with the camera and also hit your mark, but be running full speed. None of that is easy. And in the end, when he's running through the gym and he slips and falls and the camera slips and falls, it's he and the camera operator are just slipping by mistake because the
rolling.
ground was wet, and they both continued with the take.
Yeah, I know. I kind of I fell and I was just like, God dang it, like it hurts so bad. I'm going to get up and just do an actor thing and throw a chair. And Dana comes and squeezes the camera back. He goes, go, 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 and squeezes it back under my arm as I'm standing. So I think that was between me and Dana Morris as the camera operator.
Dana Morris is
He's an
MVP of
absolute,
Project
he's, he's amazing.
But
Yeah.
well, can I also say
Well, he better
after
get himself a new camera. Op.
like a 12-hour workday, Johnny can still hit the gym and run on the treadmill for like ever.
That's
It's
incredible.
crazy.
Well, I lost like upwards of 25 pounds for the role so I could kind of just be frail and all that stuff really helped me get into it. But so running on top of that was really funky. I just had to be aware of my water intake really.
I also lost weight for the role.
He lost weight by watching me.
This is for the entire cast. We've seen movies over the years where an ensemble itself became famous and spawned other films. So I'd like each one of you to kind of give me a little expression about, do you have the jitters about being an ensemble, and does all those things come into your head about this can happen, that might happen, or it's just on to the next project?
I think expectations is pretty, I try to stay away from it, you know what I mean, in general, in the industry, because, everything can go any which way. But,
I think if anything, we would just be really, really excited to do something together again because we get along so well and it's such a special group of people and we loved going to work every day, and that sounds very cheesy, but it's not a lie. And so I don't think there'd be jitters if we got to do something again. I think we'd just be really excited to work together
this
for
is
another few months.
a magical set because everyone on the entire set is making a film for the same reason because they like making good films, not for any other reason.
I think we'd all be really excited to do something again together. Like I said, we all became really good friends. And even something like this today is just fun for us. It's like a reunion. So anything we got to do again together would just be like hanging out with your friends all day. We'd all be really excited.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel like a job.
It doesn't.
You can't help but think about it. I mean, because we kind
Yeah.
of waited a little while for this movie to come out, and we started thinking about, like, what if we got to do another one, and it's like a franchise and stuff. You can't
What if,
help.
what if, what if?
Yeah, all those things. But I mean, it's easy with these guys. I think they casted the right people, and it's easy to work with you guys. So.
Yeah, I feel like I'm already a big star, so I'm pretty good. I mean, it's only gonna help, so.
All right, check, last question. Sam, driving that Maserati, how did that make you feel, and did you have to get any paperwork signed to do it?
I don't think so. That was probably the production that had to sign the paperwork. They somehow trusted me with that. That was so much fun. It was so cool. It was great when I was testing out the car. They wanted me to get a feel for it, and I was driving like on the streets of Atlanta with like two cop cars, like one in front of me, one behind me, and I felt like I was like this badass dude driving around with like police escorts in a Maserati. So that was super fun. Yeah.
Great. Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.